Hi there, welcome to the latest episode of my 10-minute moan. The topic of this 10-minute moan is quite a horrific character called Peter Tatchell. Now, I'd never heard of him before until I seen two people I follow on Twitter, both independently, about two separate things posted about him yesterday. Now, this character was brought to my attention through Twitter, where Graham Linehan, that's the guy that wrote Father Ted and get flung out the industry because he didn't fall for the gender woo-woo nonsense. He shared a video of Tatchell, which I'll play in a minute, frightening. And Graham says Peter Tatchell is one of the reasons parents give their children iPads instead of letting them out to play. That's quite a good point, because that's a scary man. And the other bit of direction was from Neil Hanvey, who shared a post about him, which was strange, where he was going on about Labour and puberty blockers. Now, the video I'm about to play is about reducing the age of consent, and this one is about puberty blockers. Kind of dear where I'm going with this guy. So what he said, and the one that Neil Hanvey shared, was Labour bans puberty blockers for under 18s, claiming they are unsafe. But if they are unsafe, why is Labour allowing them for those already prescribed them? Youth in clinical trials and for non-trans kids with early onset puberty. Double standards. Doctors should decide, not MPs. Well, kind of doctors did decide, because Cass was a doctor and she said they were unsafe. Okay? And what actually happens with these things, they weren't designed to help kids with normal hormone levels. They were designed to help kids with crazy mental hormone levels, to bring them back into a normal line. So you didn't have kids going through puberty at 6-year-old, right? They weren't there to prevent puberty. They were designed to help and prevent it starting early in children, not never, as it's turned into being used by a drug by the trans community. Not what it was originally designed for. Puberty blockers were not designed to treat trans kids. They were there to treat kids with crazy mad ranges of hormones. Okay? So this is where we're at now. I'll put the video that Graham Linehan had shared. I'll play that now and let you hear what this man's got to say about age of consent.
Famous filmmaker Derek Jarman, who sadly has died, he told me when he was about 50 that he had had sex with a young man when he was 9 years old. He said it was his choice. He said he wasn't pressured or manipulated. He said he had no regrets about that sexual experience. So my view is, that's what he's saying. It's his personal view as an adult, mature man looking back on his childhood. If he says that, who am I or you to dispute it? Now, I accept that most sex involving young people is abusive and wrong. His view is perhaps exceptional, but it's not a view that should be dismissed and denied. If an adult person looks back on an early sexual experience and says they consented to it, they were not pressured, they were not harmed, they have no regrets or complaint, I think we should do the honest thing and accept their viewpoint.
Okay.
Frightening. This crackpot wants to lower consent by saying, you know, he knows some people that when they were under the age had sex with people who were adults and they felt it was all right. Now, I've had a look at him, and a lot of stuff's on his Wikipedia. This age of consent stuff goes back to 1996, when he led an outrage campaign to reduce the age of consent in the UK to 14. And the way they used to justify it is they say, well, half of people under 16 have had sex. So what they try to do to justify it is say, well, what we're doing is we're protecting those children who are having sex. Like, I lost my virginity before I was 16. So what he's trying to say is he's protecting me, because all these people getting arrested for having sex under 16 when you know, they actually, it was fine, nobody was harmed and whatever. Lot of bollocks. Absolute lot of bollocks. Because nobody is... When was the last time any 2 kids under 16 that had sex went to jail? Right? So what you're using as an excuse to protect people is actually bollocks, because it never happens in the first place. Yeah? So, you know, have a think. You know, when did anybody go to jail for 2 15-year-olds having a quickie in the back of a bus stop, right? It's bollocks. It doesn't happen. But he's using that as the excuse to lower age of consent to 14. Now, once you do that, you then leave it open that 14, 15-year-olds having sex with 25-year-olds is not illegal. So how do we protect children then? Well, you can't, because this crackpot telling lies about his real, you know, trying to justify why the age of consent is lowered. He's talking absolute bollocks. And this isn't the first nonsense this guy has been. In 1998 and 2008, he supported relaxation of the strict laws against pornography, arguing that pornography can have some social benefits. Unbelievable. There was some absolute belters in this guy. Let me just... So the age of consent was his big one. Oh aye, he's born in Australia. The 60s, late 60s, he was against the war in Vietnam, which I think most people were. That was a shocker. But in 1971, he emigrated to London. So he didn't need to do his what do you call it, conscription in Australia and do his national service. That's how he ended up here. What's the other one? Oh, he got 1991. Small group outrage members covertly formed a separate group to campaign outing public figures who they said were homophobic in public but gay in private, and they threatened to out 200 people that were across media, politics and sport. And one that was just about to get outed by a paper in Belfast had a heart attack and died the day before he was about to be outed for these people. How sick have you got to be that you actually want to force people, especially back in the 90s, it's a different planet we were living on, right? And you took, and then what they done at the end, it went, no, we were only kidding on. It was all hoax. We weren't going to out anybody. But they went and done, what was it, but in April 98, him and his outrage protests disrupted a sermon by George Carey, the Archbishop of Canterbury, with Tatchell mounting the pulpit to denounce what he was Carey's opposition to legal equality for lesbian and gay people. And he said that they were going to start outing clergymen. The man's a horrible, horrible bastard. Okay? And this is the people that are all over LGBTQ+, right? And it's unusual for a gay man in his age to not be actually against the trans stuff. Most gay men that I know that are over a certain age, like my age and above, are as much against the trans movement as I am. But this creep is a very dangerous man. Who isn't? If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If you've not already done so, please hit the subscribe and the notification bell. Let me know your comments below. But most importantly of all, unless you're a man who hides behind lies when you suggest you want the age of consent to be 14, not you, but
everyone else, have a great day. Cheerio, bye now.